So welcome everybody to this episode of She Owns the Stage. After a little break in the past few months, we are back with some really great guests for this new season ahead, in which we are going to be tackling women speaking in public from different perspectives. And the perspective that we're going to be bringing today is one that I'm really interested in, and one that I got plenty of feedback from. Many of you wanted me to talk about, or wanted the podcast to talk about this subject, which is what to wear when we go on stage. I received many questions from listeners. Even in my trainings, there's always the question asking me, but Anna, what should I wear when I go to this interview, or when I speak at the panel discussion or give that speech? So today we are getting your questions answered, and I'm really excited to be welcoming our guest for this episode. I have with me in the virtual studio Kay Korsh. Kay is a style strategist who has spent 20 years dressing celebrities, working with luxury brands, and helping speakers use their style to secure more speaking opportunities. So I think she's really someone who can give us solid advice on that. Kay, welcome to She Owns the Stage. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna.
How are you feeling today?
Well, I haven't spoken to you for a few months, so it's really exciting that we're gonna catch up. And certainly, as you said, the subject which I talk about is the subject which always creates lots of discussion. There are always questions about it, so I never run out of stuff to talk about.
Amazing. So maybe to get the audience up to speed with who you are and your amazing journey, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? So your journey as a personal stylist, you started dressing some of the big celebrities, and now you are focusing on dressing speakers and giving style advice for speakers. Talk to us a little bit about this journey.
So I've always been in fashion, and I've spent many years consulting luxury brands, working with celebrities. And then when COVID started, I decided to pivot and to try something new. And I was introduced to the world of professional speakers, which I didn't know anything about before. I didn't realize it was a thing. To speak and to get paid for speaking. And over the past 5 years, I've been working with many speakers on different levels. And one thing which I really love about it, and which I guess is similar to working with celebrities, is that they are in the public eye, they're exposed to cameras, to big audiences. So as in my work with celebrities, it's really important to pay a lot of attention to small details, because they are all being magnified and amplified. So I always share tips on how to avoid some obvious mistakes, and how to generally elevate your style and make sure that while you're staying authentic and comfortable, you are still credible when you're presenting on stage and off stage, as your online presence, as everybody now has. We're all faces of our brands online as well.
Absolutely. And what was the moment in which you realized that the way that someone dresses on stage, what someone wears on stage, affects their confidence and affects the way that the audience perceives them, and how their message lands? What can you tell me about that?
Well, I always realized that it's the question, how do I deliver this information to the people around me, to the people I work with, and explain to them why it's important. And it actually has been a question which I've been asking myself for many years. I have this skill, which I don't know where it came from, because no one else in my family is creative and does anything in any sort of artistic field. And I wasn't sure why I was given this skill. And I was always wondering, is it superficial? Is it important? Why is it important? And what I landed on, and now what I really truly believe in, is that when I read more about how our brains work, we are all primed to judge as soon as we see someone. Well, actually, in any circumstances, we're just judging, and it's our old brains, and we're looking out for any sort of attack, right? As it used to be thousands of years ago. And it's important to accept the fact that we are judging whether we want it or not, right? It's a subconscious bias. So part of the way how we connect with people is a non-verbal part, and that is actually a huge part. I think the studies show it's like 83% or something. So to neglect that opportunity and to completely discard how we look would be losing a huge part of a strategy which we can actually use when we're connecting with people, whether it's on a just friendly level or even more importantly on a professional level. And this is where I come in. This is where style comes in and helps you connect faster with your audience.
So what does speaker stylist do in practice? How is it about, revamping completely someone's style identity? What's your role in practice? How would you describe it?
Well, the first thing is always, generally I can describe the process which people who I work with go through, and it's always first their personal comfort. So it's even nothing to do with the audience or thinking, am I positioning myself right? First is how do they feel in the clothes which they wear? Because if they don't feel comfortable, they're not going to be able to deliver their content in the best possible way, right? So it's really important for them to be comfortable and to understand what that comfort means, because for someone it would mean sneakers, for other people it would mean heels, for instance. And it could be either. You can, now in 2026, you can achieve that credibility in the way you dress via much more comfortable items versus how it used to be back in the 80s and the 50s and so on. So first you think about your personal comfort, and then you think, how can you communicate through your clothes your expertise, your area of expertise, and how can you connect and create that sense of familiarity with your audience? And it's achieved through a few different things. But the first one is thinking about what you talk about. Is that aligned with the way you dress? Say, for example, if you are an expert in AI, this is a hot topic right now. There are lots of experts speaking about AI. And if you come on stage and you speak about AI, but at the same time you are dressed outdated, so your clothes is dated, how is that going to reflect on you? Because people who notice this, whether they notice it consciously or subconsciously, you're going to lose that trust with them. So it's important to make sure that whatever you speak about is connected with the way you look.
This is really interesting, and I wanted to pick up on the example that you mentioned around the sneakers versus the heels, because I have this one anecdote where I was almost sent in back home. I was meant to moderate an event with an audience that I thought was rather progressive, because it was quite a lot of technology applied to the car manufacturing sector. It seemed like all quite high tech. And I was on my two-piece suit. It was a royal blue suit. It's one of my sort of signature looks kind of thing. And I don't know why that day in particular, I think because I had quite a long commute, I wanted to wear sneakers. And they were all clean and polished, and they were these, expensive Vejas and stuff. But I felt comfortable in them, and I felt good in them. And the conference organizer, maybe 10 minutes before the event started, told me something like, so Anna, by the way, there is somewhere over there where you can change shoes.
Okay.
because she assumed that I would change on some sort of heels or stilettos.
Okay.
And it was actually quite embarrassing to say. Well, it wasn't embarrassing, but because I told her like, no, I mean, I'm wearing my sneakers on stage, and she couldn't believe me, and she went to her boss and said, Anna said that she's gonna be wearing sneakers on stage. Is that okay?
Okay.
So it seemed to me like I think this has been more the exception to the rule, and every now and then, I mean, I normally wear heels, but every now and then, if I feel particularly, or I don't know, if I'm sore from my gym class the other day or whatever, I wear sneakers, and that's fine. I never had any issue. But that example really resonated, like it's stuck in my mind, as in saying, well, yeah, it seems that we are getting, there's more acceptance towards women not necessarily having to wear stilettos or heels, but that was a tough, that was an uncomfortable moment, I have to say.
Yeah, it does sound uncomfortable. One of the exercises which I encourage speakers to do when they're booked to speak at an event is to do the research on that event. So you would research what the background is of the space where you're speaking, and what the audience is. You can look up online who spoke at this event in the past, what they wore, kind of maybe see the audience in some of the videos, some of the pictures. So try to gauge what audience and what kind of people are gonna be there. So that's I think if I was to speak somewhere, right, I would do this, and then I would decide, do I wear something more sort of polished and presentable, or kind of pared down and more casual. And also and then a question I have to you is, that must have felt uncomfortable and embarrassing potentially in that moment. When you then spoke later on, and when you saw when you saw the audience and other people potentially maybe who spoke there, did it still feel like you were underdressed?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, it's true that I kind of I kind of mistook the kind of audience I would be speaking to, because I thought, it would be a sort of like a very progressive sort of environment and a very sort of, let's say, modern kind of thing. But actually the audience was rather old school, like old men in suits kind of thing. So I don't think I was underdressed. I just stood out because of the sneakers, because of my bright colored suit. But that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, I was moderating, I was emceeing. It's part of my role, and I guess my identity, or something that I've assumed or set for myself. Funnily enough, I was co-moderating one session, and the male moderator was also wearing sneakers, which begged me to think, was he asked that same question? But that's for another. But it did feel maybe that I was a little bit out of place, or that at least it was not the audience that I'm used to. So I take already from our conversation that something that we need to look into, that we need to keep in mind, is first of all, so what you were saying, how the message aligns with your looks and the way you dress, but also, I guess, keeping the audience and the organizers kind of psyche or identity in mind as well, and adapt accordingly.
Yes. So I would say, if you are someone who never wears heels, I would probably find a couple of different options. One is more casual, as in, as you said, clean sneakers. And another option could be nice flat pumps or loafers, which would be a more elevated option, just so that you have a couple of different options. And I would still do that research and try to make your best judgment on the situation. You can ask as many questions to the organizers as you want in advance, because they will only welcome the questions. They will feel like you are professional, you want to be your best self, right? So I wouldn't shy away from the questions. And also, just another thing to mention, I work with a lot of men who do have those comments from either their coaches or someone gave them feedback on the way they are dressed. So I know that it feels like, and probably is in a lot of cases, that women are judged. It's true, women are judged more for what they wear. And I would say it's probably a more vocal judgment, but we are still also always judging men as well if they're dressed not in the right way. And sometimes they are unaware of this, but sometimes they come to me because they got that feedback and they want to change things.
Because following up on this, I had already written a question down based on what you said at the very beginning around the fact that because of human nature, we inevitably judge whether we want it or not. And it does seem that women are judged more quickly based on their stage appearance. I'm curious to hear from you if through your work, do you give any tips to your clients on how to get over this fear of judgment? What do you tell them? What are maybe some tips that you could share also with our audience?
Well, I would want to go a bit wider than that in general, in terms of continuing the conversation between, how do women get judged versus men get judged, or how women survive in industries which are more populated with men. I had a conversation with one of my one-to-one clients, and she is in fintech, and she's one of a kind. She created this amazing company which is well known in the UK, and when we had this conversation with her, and I asked her how does it feel to be in a male-dominated industry, she said she never thought of it this way. She just thought of herself as a person who has a set of skills, who has a goal, who came up with an idea and who is growing her company. And I think this is such a refreshing way of thinking about it, because of course we are being judged more. And as I said, it potentially vocally, I would say it's more vocal, right? People feel like they can make judgments on the way women are dressed out loud more than they would be with male equivalent, even if they are judging males as well. But it's very easy to start, talk about this and be like, poor us. But what I'm inviting you to do is to think about it, to flip the script and to think about it as an advantage, because women, on the other hand, they have way more tools to use, like hair, makeup, different shapes of clothing to balance their look, because it's all about balancing. It's all about, as I said, creating that feel of familiarity through trends, through shapes, colors. And we have way more tools to use than men do. So why don't we use that to our advantage instead of thinking about bad things, which are true as well? But I think it's the good things which will empower us.
Sure.
Ultimately.
Sure. I guess it's having also this self-assurance that, I've earned my spot here, like I've earned my position and my expertise, and embodying this at the end of the day, through your style, through your...
And also being playful. A lot of the work I do with women is use style to be playful, right? Because we get stuck in a rut of wearing the same thing, and we're afraid of trying new things. We're used to something. So I always encourage to go to big department stores and just trying stuff out. You don't have to buy anything. Just try. One of the women who just joined my style program for female speakers, I asked her to do this exercise, to go and try different things. And I was amazed. She went to the department store. She said she tried like 30 plus different styles she would never have tried before. And she took lots of pictures. She pushed herself. And because you don't have to make any buying decisions on the spot. If anything, it's better not to make rash decisions. But it's through trial and error of trying and taking pictures and trying to understand what works. Why does this shape work versus this shape? Why does this neckline feel better than this neckline? This is how you find what works. So just having some fun with it and not take it as seriously, I think, is probably something which helps in this situation as well.
I can relate a lot to that, because I remember, I'm the kind of person that, like I've always been, what you would call like plus sized, so to say. So especially, like when I was a teenager, I really struggled to find clothes my size. And back in my 20s, the situation kind of started to improve, and you would see the big retailers also giving more Ls, XLs, etc. There's still a long way to go, and maybe we're still going backwards in recent years, but maybe that's for another episode. But I resonate a lot with the whole like trial and error thing on seeing indeed like which colors work for you. I mean, when a lot of people started telling me how well yellow looks good on me, I realized like, oh, actually I should wear yellow more often. Or trying certain shapes and like understanding a bit my between pear and hourglass sort of shape. And related to that, a very practical question, because now there's like all sorts of different tools, from the color analysis to, I don't know exactly how it's called, but this test where it gives you like all the plenty of different body shapes, but it's beyond the hourglass, pear, apple. It gives you, whether you are like tall and hourglass shaped or this kind of things. So to which extent, like all these tools, like the color analysis, this sort of like shape tests and this kind of things, to which extent do you think they're useful, or do you recommend them in your day-to-day work to find your style as a speaker?
I think definitely using AI tools is helpful, and it's interesting. Again, it's something to play with. And I would definitely encourage people to do research, to talk to ChatGPT. I have special AI sessions for in my program as well, to help you work out what inspiration to look for, what kind of brands to concentrate on for your specific body type. There are obviously different levels, so taking advantage of those free tools online which you can find, I would certainly do that versus not doing anything.
I wanted to get back to one of the points that you mentioned, which is finding this balance between being and looking in a way that looks authentic to you, but also maintaining a little bit the kind of professional attire. And you've already hinted into how looking professional is evolving. But I'm curious, what are still some myths around looking professional that you like to bust?
Definitely one of the things is heels versus flats. Do you have to wear heels to look presentable? The answer is no. You can go with flats. Do you need to wear a fitted suit? Do you need to wear a fitted power dress? A power dress, I don't think that exists anymore in the same way as it was power dresses in the 80s. And you can certainly look powerful in different ways. And another thing is, I hear certain myths about what older women should wear in terms of color. Some people say older women shouldn't wear bright colors, or they should wear bright colors to stand out. And to me, it's completely unrelated, because what colors you wear, the only thing it depends on is your complexion. For example, I can't wear bright colors because I look good in muted colors. Someone else won't look good in muted colors. They need to wear bright colors, and it's nothing to do with looking younger, older, more powerful, or less powerful.
I can fully relate, because I remember I had two pictures from two different events, but maybe they were 2 days apart. And in one of them, I was wearing the same royal blue suit that I normally wear. And in the second event, I had a more sort of like pastel blue, baby blue, much more muted. I looked terrible in it. Like my skin was looking so like pale, and I was not giving off the same energy. I remember my partner at the time looked at he said that he didn't recognize me at first because he was like, yeah, no, this color is not you at
Interesting.
all. Yeah, so
Interesting.
I'm realizing and I'm learning that I'm thriving in bright colors. Whereas sometimes I still kind of need to be, I am mindful of the fact that not everyone might see it as professional. I mean, the person who doesn't see it as a professional attire or color is probably not my target. That's fine. But yeah, it was an important realization to look at these photos and realize there's something there missing.
I can't imagine there is anyone who would say a statement that they think that you can't look professional in bright colors, because now in the last few years there have been so many bright suits one day, so you can
Mm,
see them popping up, red suits, green suits, blue suits on stages. And
mhm,
that brings me to a really important point of this currency looking current.
mhm,
So if people see that over and over again, it becomes familiar in the same way like a familiar song. When you hear the song for the first time, it you might not like it, but if you hear it 100
mhm,
times without realizing it, you start humming it. My daughter
mhm,
is 12. I sing a lot of Sabrina Carpenter and Benson Boone. So it's the same with the clothes. So those people who might have had that opinion in the past, now that they've seen it lots
mhm.
of times, it will become familiar to them and it will become a new norm.
It's really got me thinking. No, but because sometimes I feel and like I was actually chatting about it with some friends, and I even ask them to give me some of their questions that might have to you. And there are some worries that I still see from the people I speak to, from some of my friends, or about not being taken seriously necessarily for the way that they dress, for the way that they show up. A lot of my clients are rather young women in male dominated fields. So they feel that they have to like shape shift or tone down their appearance to be taken seriously. I'm curious, what would you tell them in this case?
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of field it is and what kind of male uh, colleagues and audience they are surrounded by. And I would say again, to kind of continue the conversation from earlier, not to maybe try to reframe it for yourself and not think, oh, it's male dominated and I feel judged because it's male dominated. And it is all true.
Hmm.
uh, I obviously accept that it's true, but thinking how you can think about it maybe in broader terms. These are the people I work with, male or female. How do I
Hmm.
connect with them? What
Hmm.
will make them feel like they are they are safe? They are, they trust me. Um, Another example is which comes to mind is I had a session with another client a couple of days ago, and she's preparing for a non-executive uh, director role interview. So she's going to be interviewed by a panel
Hmm.
of people in this major organization in the UK, and we were talking about what she should wear. And this is a
Hmm.
really high stakes situation. She wants to get that
Hmm.
gig, obviously, right? So we were thinking in psychological terms. So we looked at who is going to be on the panel. And she didn't know exactly, but we looked at the out of 20 people who might be there, and it looked like a conservative crowd, and yes, there was more male than female. There is probably going to be a mixture, but male and female, maybe more male. And we were talking about what color, what shape should she go, and they are looking for a disruptor. She's in the tech industry as well, and they want to bring more tech into the sector. And we were thinking, they already know about her, they know her credentials. That's not why they're inviting her there. They want to see if they're going to connect with her on a personal level, right? How can she help herself to connect with them on a personal level? So again, using your style as a tool, not thinking, you know, for me, I'm coming into this and there's going to be lots of, you know, people judging me. How can she play this to her advantage? Because they are going to judge her. There's no escaping. They're going to judge her, right? And we went through this exercise. We decided not to go with red. She looks great in white. She looks great in red. We decided not to go with red because red is more kind of, can be kind of aggressive. She herself has a very calm demeanor. So we wanted to support that. And she's soft. She's quite soft. And we thought it would actually be throwing them off in a good way, because if someone is like her, she has done extremely well in her career. The role she was taking is all, you know, like really high level. So when someone hears something like this, they think, this is going to be like this super powerful woman coming in. And we decided to take them with her softness, because they already know she is powerful. They already know, they've seen her credentials. So now they want to see what kind of personality she's got. So actually, maybe we even played on the opposite. So, you know, it's similar with the language, or maybe with jokes, you know, when you talk to someone and when you say something opposite and unexpected, and that can be a nice surprise, which can throw you off a little bit, but like in a good way, because it's unexpected. So you can do the same with style. So and this is in a way what we've done with her. So again, just saying, reframe it for yourself, be playful, think psychologically, how can you use it? So make it into a game. How can you use it? What will work in a particular situation without changing who you are? First, always, what are you? What are you comfortable with? And then you think about the other people around you.
This is very interesting to hear about how to reflect your personality through your style, because I was in fact thinking of another question that I got from one of our listeners, who was in fact a guest in our episode, Marin Cornelis. She's I think the total opposite of what you've described from your client. Like, she's this very bold, strong personality. She tells it like it is. She's known to be quite a disruptor in an industry that is rather conservative. And she literally asked me the question, how bold is too bold?
I would say it's not about too bold or not too bold. If you if you use style in a, you know how expressions like off the cuff or kind of I threw it together. So for your friend or colleague, this is what I would say, that she can go as bold as she wants. Creativity is always encouraged, and it's always interesting. So she's communicating through her style, right? This is part of the way of her communicating who she is, what is important to her, what are her values, is through her style. And if part of that personality is being bold and being creative and expressing herself through clothes, she should 100% use that, because that's part of communication for her. But doing it knowingly, knowing what she is doing. So looking at long-term trends, finding inspiration and just checking in, looking at some celebrities whose style she likes, and seeing what worked for them. So it's not just a disruptor for no reason, right? It's not I'm just gonna do what no one else is doing, and that's gonna be it. That's the only rule I'm gonna follow. That, I would say, that is not a very smart strategy. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to be intentional. You need to know what colors suit you, what shapes suit you. And it can be only the person who knows the rules can start breaking those rules. If you don't know the rules, then you're just gonna end up in a mess, right?
Interesting. Because you already partly answered my next question, which is, let's just get into the situation that one of my listeners has a speaking invitation tomorrow, has a panel discussion tomorrow. What are the first questions that she should ask herself when choosing an outfit for this panel? We've already discussed, who they are, what is their message, what is the audience in front of them. What are some other things that that she should keep in mind?
So the first thing what I'm hearing is that it's a panel discussion, so she's going to be sitting down, right?
Probably, yeah.
So this is one of the things too. I was talking to my friend earlier before getting on this call with you, and she's doing her filming, her showreel filming tomorrow. And she was asking me what she should wear, and I said, well, just keep in mind those trousers which you wore at your last gig, don't wear them because you're going to be doing face-to-camera filming. If they happen, they will probably end up filming above just the top, but in case they're filming the bottom, those trousers are quite crisp, so they're actually not going to behave very well when you're sitting down. They're going to create more lines. There's going to be a fly with the zip. It's going to create a bit more of a mess. So something either stretchier when it comes to trousers, or a dress or a skirt might work better, because when you're sitting down, it won't create as many lines. And another thing, if she's sitting down, say if she's wearing trousers and then a cropped jacket, making sure that either there is no sleeve of her skin on the back, because if she's sitting down, what's going to happen on the back, right? Because that might be in the shot if she's sitting to the side a bit. In the shot, or I mean visible to the audience. So either her skin shouldn't be on the show, or if she's wearing, for example, black trousers and black jacket, and the jacket is cropped and she has a light top underneath, and then you can just see the sleeve of the top, that also is not going to look very good. Another thing for sitting down, if she is wearing trousers and then she's got shoes and then she's got socks, to make sure that it all looks coherent. Whatever she wants it to look, it needs to work. So there's avoiding lots of lines. So the socks and then a bit of skin and then the trousers is not going to look good, right? So those details are very important for sitting down. And then finding out what's the background going to be. Maybe looking up the other people on the panel, what are they likely to wear? Obviously, she can't know for sure what they're going to wear, but she can at least gauge a little bit.
I see. Unless that specific person is my friend who likes standing out, then maybe, or...
Well, everything which I just said, no, I'm saying she should be standing out, but it's... knowledge is her friend, right? If she knows who else is on the panel and what they're going to wear, she can still stand out, but she will know how to stand out.
Right. Okay. So using the information to
exactly.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, I see. The whole point about sitting reminded me as well. Once I had this conversation with a senior woman. She was Secretary General of an organization here in Belgium, and we were discussing about our hate for bar stools. Like when we were at a panel discussion and we are sitting on these like high chairs, like bar stools, they're horrible. And she was like, I stopped, she actually told me, I stopped wearing skirts when I'm at events just for the fear of getting seated on a bar stool and looking uncomfortable in it. And
Yeah, so that applies to a mini skirt, right? But if the skirt is below the knee, that won't be a problem.
because then maybe also to start wrapping up, then what are some styling mistakes that you see women make? I mean, I'm saying women because the podcast is mainly targeted to women, of course, but that we tend to make before important public speaking moments. What are some things to keep in mind in very practical terms for your comfort and from your posture? So you've already mentioned the details for when it comes to the chairs. Is there something else that we need to bear in mind?
Yeah, so things which again shouldn't matter because we're all humans, but they unfortunately do matter because they just draw your attention or audience's attention if that happens. So things like sweat patches. So trying out don't just go in a new outfit you bought yesterday. You need to try this outfit in similar conditions, film yourself, take pictures. How does it behave? If the sweat patches show through, maybe not the best thing to wear, or there are tops which have special lining underneath. I get those from the US. We don't have them in the UK, but maybe wherever you are, you can get something similar, or it can be hardcore, whatever. Medical grade deodorant, which some of my clients swear by. And then creases, so maybe using fabrics which don't crease. Again, one of my clients, we bought a pair of trousers, fantastic trousers, and then she tried them and we kind of didn't really think it through, and she had one appearance where they actually showed they creased quite a lot, and so we then decided, okay, they're great, but for maybe either for sitting down, like if she's sitting down, then it doesn't matter, so they could actually work for a panel or for something where she's not speaking, maybe just a networking event. So creases and sweat patches, and also making sure things are not going to get undone. So for example, if you've got a ribbon and then it gets undone and then it looks messy, and again that's amplified by the camera, so just wear something. It can be still very creative and interesting, but just make sure it's not going to get undone halfway through.
How about microphones? Because I mean, sometimes we are still given the kind of handheld microphone, but more and more we're starting to wear like this Madonnas or the lapel mics. Is there some particular etiquette or something in particular that our audience should keep in mind based on the kind of gear that we are going to be, let's say, attached to?
Yes. So with as you mentioned, Madonna mic, which I haven't heard before. It's called
the headset.
But,
okay.
The headset. The main thing is not to wear very large dangly earrings because that will interfere with the sound. If you're wearing a lapel mic and then you've got the transmitter as well, which needs to be like the mic pack, which needs to be attached somewhere, having elastic band you can have if you're wearing a dress and you don't have anywhere to put it on, elastic band on your waistline, which you can either cut out of something or you can buy on Amazon. They sell similar ones, or it can be attached to the bra as well sometimes. And then it ideally it shouldn't be something really high. So if it's a lavalier mic, this, for example, what I'm wearing is quite high neck, so that would be too high. So having something a little bit lower would work better. So if you're wearing a jacket, then it could be attached to the jacket. If you're not wearing a jacket, having maybe a V neck or a lower round neck would be better. But to be honest with you, it's not a massive issue. I haven't had massive issues with that. So just making sure it's not too high, the neckline, but otherwise it should be okay.
And maybe one final thing. I have one final question, but before that, there's something I wanted to tackle because a lot of my listeners, because I come from the climate and sustainability space, care a lot about it because we share similar networks. I'm curious, in order to build your speaker wardrobe, and when it comes to, for instance, your clients, do we need to buy all sorts of clothing from scratch, or do you recommend shopping your wardrobe first? What's the step by step here? To which extent do we need to reinvent our full wardrobe, would you say?
So you always start with your existing wardrobe and you learn your shapes and your colors and you evaluate what you've got. I always encourage you to digitize your wardrobe because that becomes clearer what you've got, what you own. So you don't make those mistakes. I had very similar jacket and then I bought a new one because I forgot about the one I've got. So you've got it all visually and you can just have it on your phone. And try to come up with new combinations within your existing wardrobe. Then I would say try, if you are very passionate about buying vintage and secondhand, first try different brands and in the shops, try them on, know your sizes. So don't buy secondhand because a lot of the times you won't be able to return if it's secondhand. So don't buy secondhand unless you are sure that that brand in that size suits you. Because what you're trying to do is save the planet and save yourself from having stuff which you don't wear. What you end up doing is you end up with the clothes which you don't wear because they don't fit you. So make sure that you know what fits you before you start buying stuff secondhand.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for this advice. I think it's something that, that very, very important for our audience and even for myself as someone who tries to buy secondhand, tries to shop her own wardrobe first. Maybe to wrap up then this episode, Kay, could you talk to us a little bit about your future plans also for the year ahead? We are in early February, so what are your next plans? I believe you've also started doing some speaking around dressing up to become a paid speaker. So tell us about it.
Well, the first exciting thing which is happening is I'm gonna run a special masterclass on transitioning from winter to summer, because a lot of us find it difficult, as we already touched on the subject about sweat patches and things like this, and also knowing what is out there. So I'm bringing, I'm going to be showing how to take those catwalk trends, which we see on the models, and take that information and use it in our speaking wardrobe on stage. And this is going to be a free masterclass, and it's going to happen on the 23rd of February. So I'll definitely share the link to that. And apart from that, yes, speaking is definitely part of what I do, virtually and in person. And that's I worked on my own show reel a couple of months ago, which nice. I love and which gets a lot of positive feedback. So that's part of my strategy next year as well. So if you are hearing this and if you would like me to speak in your organization or your community, please get in touch. To grow my program, I love my program for female speakers. So it's a style program, and this is something which I see incredible transformations with. And the reason why I started it is because I don't believe in quick fixes. And to make those sustainable choices, you need time to get to know yourself, and I need to get to know you. So I'm allowing 3 months for that time to happen organically and for that transformation to happen naturally. in my program.
Amazing. So how can our audience find you then?
So I'll share the link with you to that masterclass, and I'm inviting everybody who is listening to join. It's free, and it's going to be a lot of value, and there's going to be a lot of fun, because how often do you get to talk about trends and learn about trends?
I was, in fact, in one of your webinars, and I found it extremely useful to discuss, something around. I remember something in particular, for instance, that I actually never really considered around my own speaking style, which is fabrics. And I remember you mentioned about it, and it really got me thinking. And you took the time also to answer other people's questions. So I can fully recommend. And I'll make sure, of course, to share all the links in the show notes. Also, we'll promote it in our stories so that everyone can follow you for this or any subsequent masterclasses for sure.
Thank you.
So, Kay, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. I love this conversation.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thanks a lot, and maybe in the future, who knows, maybe we can reconvene again to have a continuation to this conversation, also hearing about your own speaking journey, which seems very exciting. But thanks a lot for joining us here today. Thanks a lot to everyone who has listened. We'll make sure to add all the details to reach Kay and follow her journey in our show notes, and don't hesitate to subscribe, to rate the show, to share it with anyone, with your bestie who might sometimes struggle a little bit and get a bit of paralysis on what to wear after or before an important assignment. So thank you very much, and see you at the next episode.
Thank you.